strength coach, according to Men's Health Magazine, Dan John. And Dan, I thought today I wanted to do some hating. There's not enough hate on this show. And I wanted to and I felt like maybe that's why we're not getting as much attention as some other people. So I want Dan John to do some hating. We're going to talk about kettlebells versus barbells and bodyweight training modalities today. Obviously, the answer is going to be it depends, but we'll try and provide some context. But Dan, I want to start off with, what do you hate in the gym? Is there anything, any piece of equipment, any modality that you really just can't stand, that you think is a complete waste of time, money, energy? What does Dan John hate?
Well, okay. Number one, the big one is when someone's on a machine doing this with their phone. So they're on a cardio machine and they're playing with their phone. That just, why are you in there? And I get it, and somebody told me that the reason women will be on the phone a lot in certain gyms is that's an international signal of don't bug me. So they'll be on their phone talking to an imaginary friend just to keep away the dogs of war there in the gym. Yep. I hate any social media use in a gym bothers me. When people, I'll see someone set up their little phone for an hour and a half, 45 minutes so they can do their crappy burpee or jumping squat. And I'm like, what are you doing that for? I hate, I've got great respect for actual bodybuilders. I got great respect for anyone who competes. I don't like the broness of certain people, but that's just me being a grump.
That's okay.
Exercise wise, I was up at this gym in Bountiful a couple of weeks ago, and just watching the things, it's like, I just want to walk over and say, it's not if you're going to hurt yourself, it's when, but it's just, really, and it's also, it's all come from the internet. I wish you could all have been in a gym in the 1960s when, back in the 60s, when everyone avoided gyms, was so much better. They stunk. There was so much limited selection of equipment. And so you pick weights off the floor and you put them overhead, and everything was pretty simple. And, I don't like, well, certainly the workout that shall not be named is almost gone. And most of the gyms I go to, that
is an interesting phenomena, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The people who do the workout that shall not be named. I was down at Parker University. That's where Parker's, I'm on the advisory board down there. And I was down there. I did a full workshop, did all my stuff, hinge, squat, all this stuff. And the students and then the little club, that's the workout shall not be named club, come in, and they literally, I tell you, literally, the word literally, an overused word, come in, and this one girl is doing clean and jerks, and every single rep, say that she's doing 10s, because every elite Olympic lifter does 10s in the Olympic lifts overhead. Mm-hmm. And every single rep she took and tossed down, not just dropped, but tossed. And she didn't have enough weights on, so every single rep, she had tall fake bumpers. So what, 2.5s? She had the big thick 2.5s, and she had the 5s. And every single rep, you could see the weights hitting like this. And I looked in the corner where they trained, and all the 10-kilo weights were C-shaped instead of like this. Yeah. They're C-shaped because they have no respect for the equipment, because they don't buy them. And after they hurt themselves, all the equipment they use is broken too. And that drives me crazy.
Yeah, well, if you don't mind, I'd like to just get you to expand on that. The workout that shall not be named, which we shall not name. Was there ever a time when it seemed promising to you? What are your primary criticisms of it, I guess, in general, or as it is now, whatever's left of it?
Back when Lauren was programming them back in 2002, 2003, and then sort of into 2004, I would look at those workout and say, that's pretty good. I remember one time that it was practice squats and then do 3 sets of 5. That was the workout, teach squatting 3 sets of 5, 10K, either, bike or run or walk it. It was just real reasonable. Learn practice this, learn that. And then once it got, I don't know who took over. I have my guesses, but and they would have workouts where you do like every minute on the minute, every minute on the minute, you would do something as 3 push-ups, a few sit-ups and a few air squats, and you would just try to do 15 rounds of that or something like that. Or sometimes occasionally they would add a rep. And so round one was, which I don't like, as I say it out loud, but round one might be 1-1-1, and then you'd add a rep every minute, and just, it was kind of fun. It was none of it was broken. There was no lunges. There was no single arm work. It was fairly, and you can still go back. I'm sure it's still on their site, and go see the programming she had and be like, yeah, that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. When I showed them the Olympic lifts, I still regret that, because instead of just doing the Olympic lifts, of course, it had to be 135 pound clean for 30 reps as fast as you can. And I remember one time that was because that's too light for me. I did 185 for whatever it was, 30 reps. And they said that the guy who did 135 was better than me at 185 because he did them faster. Which in every ounce of my strength and conditioning body makes me go, wait, what? Yeah. I could go on. Anybody, the mirror checking out thing is just, it bothers me at all kinds of levels. The whole, with that subtle, checking out the digs. And it just, go ahead and do it. You do whatever, gentle listener, do whatever you want.
You don't have to, explain yourself, Dan. I asked fair, like, what does Dan John hate? So lay it on thick. Yeah.
It's, you got to do anything you want. But the idea is, you need to do what your body needs also, not just what you want to do. And how do you find out what your body needs? Well, you need to come to somebody who's just, you need to go to somebody who can step back, give you a logical and practical assessment, and say, here are your gaps, here are areas in your body that you need to practice moving better on, and let's fix them and let's adjust them. And then certainly for the rest of the time, you can work your biceps and triceps. I remember after, so when I stopped coaching football at the one school, and there was like a 2 or 3 year period where I just basically moved over I was moving into my administrative role, but coming down into the weight room, it was just a busy time for me too. I had a baby and a 2-year-old, and just moved, and I was, getting another degree. And I went down into the same weight room that I coached literally a year before, and all the football players were doing these bench dips. That's where you lean your body. It's enough, you put your hands on a bench and you do dips. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. There's not enough load. There's not enough range of motion. So all the things that are good about a dip, you take out.
Yeah. Right.
And what you leave is the ability of the body to pump up very small areas. And they would do bench dips, and they were doing alternating curls. So the workout was alternating curls and bench dips. And I got to tell you, man, that doesn't help you at all in American football. And then the school began its downward spiral on the field of play. And it was like, we used to have all our kids, front squat clean, overhead work, obviously bench. And then all of a sudden everyone's turned into Billy biceps. And, when you have an undersized team, like a high school team with kids who play from 155 to like 180 body weight, so 70 kilos to 80 kilos range, which is extremely small from just very small. You can't rely on you can't at 180, you can't outmass somebody who weighs 260. Mm-hmm. But if you Olympic lift and you learn leverages and you learn biomechanics, you have a wonderful advantage. You can play down their knees. So those are the things. Again, mostly I don't care what you do. And that's why I don't train in public gyms. I mean, I do sometimes, but it's just the level of lunacy is beyond me.
It's painful. So I wanted to talk about kettlebells, body weight, and barbells, but we can expand that and include other modalities. Dan, I think that it's fair to say we're both, mixed modality guys. We try to say, hey, what's the job? Okay, great. Here's a job. What tools are available for this job? And, where do these tools make sense? When is it best to use this tool versus that tool? I've always thought that was the most reasonable approach. I'm very rarely one to say that there's, even though some tools are limited, like the ab wheel, what do you do with the ab wheel? Well, you ab wheel. It's still a good tool. It's a limited tool, but it's a good tool.
It's an amazing so I like equipment. Sorry to jump in. I like equipment that is so specific it does one thing, but one thing really well.
Yep.
I've got Brett Contreras' hip thrust machine. What do you use it for? It's a big sumbitch too. It's huge and it's heavy. What do you use that for?
Hip thrust.
What else?
That's it, baby.
The ab wheel.
Don't try and do other stuff with it. That irks me. That irks me when people try to get too fancy with the ab wheel. Just do ab wheel. Just do that. It was $10. You don't need to do other stuff with it.
Yeah. And then you walk over to the barbell and kettlebell, and they say, "What do you do with this?" And it's like, well, there's a whole sport called Olympic lifting. There's a whole sport called powerlifting. Then there's about 10,000 exercises. You can train like the strongmen did 100 years ago. Blah, 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 blah. What do you do with this kettlebell? Well, you can, and you've got, again, you've got competition all the way to a million exercises. But I guess the answer is, as always in good conversation, is both. You need both. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So help us situate it, Dan. Where do you think, and I just want to say most people, most of the time, your general fitness enthusiasts, we're setting aside people who are trying to be competitive Olympic lifters and specialists, but for the generalist, Dan, how do you like to situate these pieces of equipment? Where do you think that they play the best role?
Well, I have a concept called the killer application. So can I go through that real quick?
Yes, please do.
It's not something I invented, but I'll take full credit for it.
Yeah, please. Yes. Expect nothing less.
There was a belief when I was young. In fact, pardon me. It's interesting because I've lived through the space race and I've lived through the computer generation. When I was young, and a computer, it was believed there would only be 6 computers needed in the world.
Wow.
And most of it was for targeting nuclear devices on other countries. And that's true. And there was very little. I mean, why would you need a computer? I mean, I can go to the library and with index cards, I can find practically any information in the world. And then when I find the book, I can go in that book's index and cross-reference that book's index with other books. And boy, I can find it's funny. I'll be at a bar now and I'll say, what's the capital of Wisconsin? And someone will go, I don't know. I don't have cell phone service.
Let me use my rectangle.
Yes. So this Harvard, and as I understand the story, it goes like this. So this Harvard guy was putting together this idea, and he put it up on the board, and it was a thing. So here on this column was a number, and then if this happens, this number show up. If this happens, this number show up, and this happened. And he asked a friend of his who's an accountant. He goes, "Does this thing have any value?" And the accountant famously said, "I have 400 accountants working for me who spend 40 hours a week basically doing what you say can be done with the push of a button." Yeah. It's called a spreadsheet. The killer app for the computer isn't Word. Shit, that's a typewriter and a copy machine and a Xerox is what most people, that's all most people ever need. Telephones are wonderful. They were great. In fact, I got right here, I've got a telephone hookup. But the spreadsheet was something that was it. And so here's the thing. If General Motors gets a spreadsheet, they can see quicker where their money is being excessive. This is a money drain here. Let's fix this. If we move, what happens if we do this with this? Boom, this is the answer. Mm-hmm. Their answers. So Ford have to get a spreadsheet. And if Ford has a spreadsheet, then Toyota has to have one. If Toyota does, Honda does. Well, because of that app, it's called the Killer application. Uh, every company in the world now needed a computer to do things like inventory and cost analysis and things like that. Well, and then of course the price of computing went actually more like straight down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now, right here, I don't have my normal phone. This is my business phone. Okay, inside this here right now, the amount of power that the Apollo astronauts who went to the moon had, computer power. Do you know those Christmas cards? You open it up and it goes ding, 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 ding. That
Love
Christmas
those.
card has more RAM than the computers that went to the moon.
Amazing.
And when we sent that first thing out called Voyager,
Mm-hmm.
we have been sending signals to it for years to speed up its computers. It's a better computer now, being, I don't know, millions miles away from the Earth. It's a better computer system now. Well, I mean, I guess the power went out, but it got smarter because we got smarter and was sending little signals to it that went beep, 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 because that's as fast as it could take it, and it improved it. The Killer app. So here's the Killer app. I have a book about the Kettlebell Killer app. I think the Killer application of why you have a kettlebell is a correctly done swing, the goblet squat, and the turkey.
Boom. And we're talking bang for buck. These are the money movements. This is why you need a kettlebell, right? Mm-hmm.
For the barbell, it's the press and squat family. I'd maybe even say the deadlift family. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could tell me you're deadlifting kettlebells or dumbbells, but it's just like,
let's just be honest, right? Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to. Now, but I could even simplify it by saying the press and deadlift family for most people, the barbell, because most people really just need the goblet squat, honestly, right?
Yeah, that's good.
When it comes to the ab wheel, what would it be?
It's ab wheel, baby.
Ab wheel, baby.
With ab wheel, you ab wheel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With suspension trainers, I would say it's the TY and the single arm row. I mean, that's why you buy a suspension trainer. Don't buy it to do
to do the bench dips on the suspension trainer.
The bench dips, freaking lunge generations. Yeah. Just throw out a piece of equipment. Okay, dumbbells.
Yeah. So how about just body weight? I mean, suspension trainer is a type of body weight training, but your basic calisthenics. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would come to me as pretty natural. I mean, any kind of parkour-ish. So brachiating, pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, V-ups.
Just
but
hangs.
You can see the issue with the body weight right there. Almost everything I say is not lower body. Right. And someone's going to write in, what about pistols? Well, good for you. From my experience, pistols are something you're born with. It's very much a DNA thing. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can overcome it. But if you're like me, you really don't want to because it pops your hip out.
And one thing I want to emphasize too is can and should. Can you find some body weight exercises that could build your lower body? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Or you could just load up a barbell or grab 2 heavy kettlebells and do front squats. Yeah. And
all the pistols,
and it will probably save you a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. You can do. I mean, somebody asked me, "Do you do Hindu squats?" No. Well, why not? Because I squat. I don't. Why would I want to do 1,000 reps in something when I can get far more? Trust me, folks. When you front squatted like I front squatted, you don't. Yeah, the last thing you need to do is more squats. I've put 265 over my head and done 15 overhead squats with it. I mean, really, do I really need to prove anything else to anybody?
No, you do not, Dan.
I mean, next time you get in the gym, slap 265 on it, pop it out, snatch grip, and just go up and down 15 times in a deep squat. Get back to me when you think that you need a harder workout. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. I also, and look, obviously I love kettlebells. I use them probably as my primary implement. I have I used to use a lot more barbells when I was younger, but I have gradually just become increasingly more kettlebell oriented. But still, at the end of the day, when I'm I still go to the big box gym myself here, Dan. I'm going for the barbell for the hinges and the deadlifts for the grinding ones, not the swings, obviously kettlebells, but it's like, let's just be on. Like, could you somehow, I don't know, single leg, 2 kettlebell days? It's just like, why bother? Just go put some plates on the barbell and do your deadlifts there.
Yeah.
Efficiency.
When I went to Vermont for this extended trip I made, I brought 3 kettlebells, and honestly, 2 are redundant. I should have just had, if I could, next time when I do that, I'll probably just bring a 20 or 24, and that's it for the 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I also bring a glute loop. So a glute loop, I will bring up. I have these hammer throwing sticks, Scottish Highland Games replacement sticks.
Yep.
That are perfect for flexibility and overhead squats. So I like that exercise where I do the goblet squat and then the stick overhead squat combination.
You had a name for that. What was that drill called again?
The goblet squat to overhead squat drill.
That brilliant. What a burst of brilliance. I love that.
It is. I am a clever young man. So, but I'm just saying, I'm going to bring 3 things, but the kettlebell is going to be most of the work. I'll bring the glute loop because I think when I travel, the glute loop doing the clamshells and the hip thrusts undo the damage of driving or flying.
Yeah.
And stick drill is just one more, just to give me a little bit of an edge when I'm on the beach training.
So let me ask you this, Dan. Let's put an application of easy strength here, and say somebody's got access to these different modalities, and you're picking your push pull hinge squat. Where would you put the kettlebell? Where'd you put the barbell? Where'd you put the plug it in?
Yeah, got you covered. Ready? So push barbell. Okay. Pull suspension trainer.
Yep.
Or hang pull up combo. But for most of the Americans I work with, I would say suspension trainer. Most of the Europeans I work with would be with the pull up and the bar.
Yep.
The pull up bar or whatever. Okay, so push barbell, pull suspension trainer, asterisk. Okay. Hinge barbell, deadlift, or kettlebell swing. So the hinge is nice because you have 2 great options on different sides of the spectrum. Squat. I would say if it's easy strength, it would be goblet squat. Mm-hmm. If it's normal training, front squat, overhead squat, back squat, for some people. Loaded carry, kettlebell's better. The barbell, even though I've done the barbell loaded carries, the kettlebells are better. Yeah. Ab wheel to finish off the day. So
it's perfect. It's perfect.
I mean, it's not bad. My perfect workout. Do you know my perfect workout?
We did a whole episode on it, but feel free, please repeat it. Dan John's perfect workout.
So it is a kettlebell glute loop stick workout. So I do 3 sets of 8 in the half kneeling press, both left and right, mixed with and supersetted with a fairly long hang. I hang as long as I can. So it's 3 sets of 8. So a set left of half kneeling press, a set right half kneeling press, hang 3 rounds. And then if I'm in the gym, I do hip thrust, but let's just do the indoor one. If I'm doing the indoor one, I then pop on my back and I do 15 hip thrust, 15 clamshells, 14, 14, 13, 13, all the way down to 1, 1. I pop up, grab that same kettlebell and do the goblet squat, overhead squat drill. Mm-hmm. And then I pick up that kettlebell and I march in place with it in my left hand for 30 seconds to 45 to a minute, and then switch hands to the right and do the marching in place suitcase carry. The end, walk out the door.
Perfect.
I use that as a warm up now this time of year here in Utah. For my European friends, the temperature is -3, -4. For my American friends, it's I'm in single digits in the workouts, so it's tight in the gym. Fahrenheit or centigrade doesn't matter. It's still cold, so I do the warm up here in the basement, and then I go out into the gym and train.
So that's really helpful, Dan. And I know that we might have been a little too fair. We didn't hate on any one of these pieces of equipment, which is why I wanted to start the episode out with hate. So we have a nice balance of love and hate throughout the episode. And I think we've achieved that.
One of the things, maybe hate's a strong word, but one of the things that has bothered me my whole career, and I'm only figuring out how to get around it now. And I'm 65 and I've been lifting since 1965, and only now am I getting over it. It's the pretty new girl situation that I have. when Nautilus first came out, I was reading them. I would read Athletic Journal and Scholastic Coach, and I'd go to Coach Ashby and say, "We need to get Nautilus equipment because then," and he'd just wave it off like I was an idiot, and he was right because I was reading 25-page ads that stuck in these magazines that needed the revenue, and yet, so. He's the first one to teach me that, Hoffman protein. This is the protein of champions. And it was just pure crap. It was soy. I mean, geez, it was terrible. Oh, God, when someone farted in the gym back then. Oh, man. Soy farts.
There were some curious smells in the gym yesterday in my area, Dan. I couldn't quite figure out where those smells were coming from, but they were curious.
I'll tell you one thing, Thursday nights I go to the senior center and here in
some curious smells down there.
There's some curious. The other night we had some curious smells. I'll just say that as nice as I can. So there's this idea that, boy, if I just had that thing, that machine, that there's this new device, and I've bought so much crap in my career.
Bowflex, shake weight.
Oh, I have a shake weight somewhere in the house. And I buy, and by the way, if you ever try shake weight, forget your elbows, using your elbows. It is instant middle-age pull-up syndrome, at least in my case. It was the fastest injury I've ever gotten in my career.
Wow. So that's not great. Not a great mark from Coach Dan John.
How often, I mean, you'll be sitting there in the morning and those Beachbody company will come out and they'll have all these secrets and here's how I got looking like this 30 days later, and look at. And I believe that stuff.
Well, dude, isn't it funny, Dan? I mean, obviously, you're somebody who really knows your stuff in and out of the gym. But man, advertising is just so effective. I mean, I see this stuff too. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't. And I got to slap myself. Come to your senses, son. You know what to do. Go do it.
I figure I've lost 4 years in my athletic career.
Yeah.
Chasing in my prime, chasing stupid ideas that were unfounded.
Right.
And when honestly, if I could, I would love to sit. So, I was showing this in my podcast yesterday. This is my 1990 journal. And if I just listen to the advice of 1990 Dan John, I am so far ahead of, all the other nonsense I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So amazing. Far ahead. Amazing.
So let me do this. By the way, gentle listeners, we're going to take questions here in a minute, so keep them coming. See lots of good stuff there already. Dan, I want you to play devil's advocate for a little bit. Let's get a little more hate going. What's the case against the barbell? If you were to make a case against people using the barbell, I want to hear it. Then I want to hear your case against the kettlebell. And I think that should do it.
Well, the first problem with the barbells is 45 pounds. Well, now we have the female bars, and they are lighter. So it's 20 kilos and 15, I think. If I'm wrong, correct me. But you start right off with a load that's a little bit too much for many people. Number two, the barbell is based on human sizes from the early 1930s. The collars are much too narrow for the snatch for anybody over. Well, this is how tall I am. When I snatch and meets my very often I'll stand up with my index finger and thumb on the barbell, but these sneaking up, they're on top of the collar because I'm trying to hold that thing in. My hands slide out until I get there. So I'm this tall. If you're this tall, the bar is already too narrow for you. The bar is also probably too low on the ground. The plates where they have the 20 kilo, 45 pound plates, those holes, so the weights, they're too far down the ground for most people, which is why when you work with elite athletes, people say, why do you work from the hang so much? We're not working from the hang. The bar is too far down the ground. So the design flaws are issues. I will say this though, in the defense is, if you would have bought, like Dick Nottmeyer in 1965, bought 3 full sets of York Olympic lifting bars. He sold those sets just a few years ago. They're still being used. So the upside of a barbell with minimal care, and I'm talking minimal. I don't know how to say minimal any slower. It will last forever. unless you have some jackass dropping it every effing rep because they're trying to let everybody in the gym know, look at me, look at me, look at me. And I'm over there,
Oh, I'm looking at you.
I'm looking at you because I think you're an effing idiot. So the barbells disadvantages are, I think, pretty easy to overcome usually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The barbell's advantage, relatively low in price and durable. Those are huge advantages.
Right. And obviously just load and intensity, you really can't beat it.
And the fact that you can progress, if you can lift 20 in the exercise kilos, 45 pounds, you can progress that piece of equipment for the rest of your career.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. All right. Should we take some questions, Dan?
You didn't ask me about kettlebells.
Oh, sorry. Of course. All right. Let's get some hate going, Dan. What's the case against
first
kettlebells?
Off, the cult of kettlebells. If I put up a video, and it is, if I put up a video of me doing jerkers get-ups, I will get 300 comments on the mistakes I made, in the lift.
Isn't that something? Dan, real quick, do you think the cult of kettlebell, for whatever reason, and I agree, there is a cult of kettlebell there, is it worse than the cult of barbell? Because there is it's not even a cult of barbell, it's like a cult of some guy who promotes barbells, if you know what I mean, right? Whereas like there's many cults of barbell maybe, but there's like this one cult of kettlebell. Is that right? Do you think? I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. That's the answer right there. The cults of barbell. When I there was some online coach who said that we are in the era of probably the greatest Olympic lifting of all time, and the one guy he might be the person that finally clean and jerk 600, which is 273 kilos. 573 would be a hell of a lift. And the one online go, well, if his technique was better, if I trained him. That's one of the things I hate about strength coaches. You always hear that. I'll tell you one thing. If I coached this team, they would be, and then they'd be more supple. They'd be bigger squats. They'd have a bigger deadlift. And that's fine. And none of that carries over the field of play. Mm-hmm. You can be as supple as you want, but when I hit you across the face in a football game, your suppleness doesn't help out at all. Right. The second thing about kettlebells, and I was watching someone has invented a workout called the armor building complex. That's where you take double kettlebells, you do 2 cleans, 1 press, 3 front squats.
I've heard of this.
And it's up on Instagram, and all of his followers are going, where do you come up with these exercises? But when he does his cleans, his technique is horrid. It's horrid.
Wait. So you're not referring to yourself? Did somebody legit just decide to rip off Dan John again? What a bummer. People suck. Social media, they suck so much.
I'll survive. The thing about kettlebells, they have to be used as kettlebells, not dumbbells. Yes. And that's why I believe you need the swing, hinge swing, everything. That's how you start a kettlebell, is with the swing hinge. If it's a clean, if it's a snatch, you always hinge it. You bring it in, and then you put it in place.
Let the kettlebell be a kettlebell, right?
Let the kettlebell be a kettlebell. And when I see people dead hanging, I'm always like, they're not well trained. But here's the thing: I'll go to an RKC and I'll see people. When I go to Europe, people hold the weights the wrong way because that's what they were taught by somebody. Mm-hmm. It's not the way we teach kettlebells. It's not in the manual.
Naughty.
Well, if we're going to teach this way, we can't have. We've got to do it the same, everybody. Mm-hmm. And so with kettlebells, you got to use them as a kettlebell. Now, I mean, obviously, I'm not being a douche, but when I see most people using kettlebells, like at this gym I was just at, you might as well use a dumbbell. A dumbbell. And the nice thing about a dumbbell is that here in the States, anywhere, they come in some places even smaller now. They're getting into 2-pound increments.
Yeah.
But usually they're about 5. There's a 35, a 40, a 45. With that more micro loading, you can do a lot more variation. Right. I still think one of the best workouts you can do at a gym is you walk over the double dumbbell rack, you clean, you press, you step over, so you go 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 65, and you go up until you get into some serious weights, the 80s, the 90s, the 100s. And I'm sure all of our listeners can, press easily double 105s, 110s because,
no
we're
problem.
online. So, yeah.
Great. Well, that's very fair, very honest, and very appreciated, Dan. Let's take some questions now. So, gentle listeners, bring it on. I just want to highlight this success story. No idea how to pronounce his name properly. Riachiona says, just finished my second week of easy strength for fat loss, down 8 pounds already, using just dumbbells and a pull-up bar. Fantastic.
Yeah, I like that. And if you don't mind, if you could just send us what exercises you're doing, would you mind? And your rep scheme, if that's appropriate. And then can you screenshot what he sends us? I'd just like to see it. If that's Reazione.
Reaction, that sounds a lot better than what I
Yeah,
tried. So thank you for reporting in.
And you'll notice that he's down 8 pounds in 2 weeks. That's not unusual in any program, the early weight loss. But what's nice about the easy strength for fat loss is that when you finish those 2 weeks, very few people ever just look at me and say, "Oh my God, it's so hard." It's more like, why didn't somebody tell me it would be this easy?
Why didn't I do this sooner? Right. All right. Kirill says, exercises I like least from the workout that should not be named are the American swing. Why do people do it? And kipping pull-ups come next. Have to admit, some of the practitioners look good though. Yeah, yes, let's get your comments on all this.
Yeah. But the other thing too is when somebody told me the honest truth about a few things, let's just say naturally it would be hard for some of the females to look the way they do. Yeah. And the kipping pull-up is, my friends who are in the physical therapy world, they tell me that the workout that shall not be named has been the greatest thing for their career ever. In fact, there are some of the coaches in the workout should not be named world. They have workouts that injure the people, and then they come up with magical solutions to make people feel better. The Dan John method is don't hurt people in the first place, so you don't have to fix them in the second place.
Yep, that's an amazing.
Having said that, if you get hurt in performance, that happens, and that's just part of the price we pay. So, if you get, you dislocate your shoulder in a rugby game, yeah, I'm okay with that. You dislocate your shoulder doing some idiotic thing, then we have another conversation.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. I've never been in the world of the workout that should not be named. I've always kind of glanced at it from the periphery.
Yeah.
But there did seem to become a point where it went from being something that was supposed to prepare people as generalists to itself being a specific competitive event, right? Those are very different things. Those are actually very different things, right?
And and it does favor a certain body type. Like for men, that one T Nation article, if you're 5'9", 210 and 4% body fat and lifetime drug free, it's a good, that seems, you don't see a lot of 6'7" elite male athletes in that domain. You certainly don't see a lot of this. I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me, but I don't see a lot of diversity in the top ranks, and you know what I mean. So, and I'll just stop there. Yeah. Sometimes people call me like bad names online, but I am a person that believes that I don't want to live in a room full of mirrors.
Right.
I don't think everyone should look like me, think like me, act like me. Mm-hmm. I like to have,
even though you're the most interesting person, we know that.
Please, I blush.
All right, one more comment on that which shall not be named. Wayne says the original concept of that which shall not be named was sound, be fit in various areas, but then ... That sounds kind of like what you were saying, Dan, earlier, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you read the thing in 100 words, I mean, it's still, you look at that and it's like, that's really good. But, it's like we used to make jokes about when I was in high school, some of the kids who got ready for American football by bodybuilding. I have a good friend who did that. I mean, he looked like Mr. Universe, but if you took the ball and threw it at him, he would couldn't. We called them Stone Fingers. That was his song, because when we were doing a drill, the ball would always bounce off his hands. And so, I guarantee this: if we were all to walk in from the pool and you were to pick the athlete you want to play the game with, you'd have picked him. But the second we got on the field to play, little Danny John, who just got done hurling, throwing the discus, and wrestling, once you saw on the field to play, it'd make more sense who you want to play.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
Finger.
What's your that might be my favorite. That one or From Russia with Love. I go back and forth between those two. All right, let's keep moving along here. Andy says hello from Wales. Sat outside the vet while my dog has physio. Getting your dog taken care of. That's good. Would you use specialty barbells like safety squat bar or hex bar? Do you find an application?
You say that. An online friend of mine is sending me their new book that basically is all about. So it's easy curl bars, hex bars, safety squats, all the various bars, and why you should use them because they're safer. I don't like them at all. I do have a trap bar or whatever we call it this week, a hex bar or whatever. It's underneath my deck, and we only use it here for testing the farmer walk. That's the only thing I use it before. I mean, there's great value, and here's something to keep in mind, folks. If you're in a place where the only way you can squat is by having a system so that and I have, by the way, I have all that gear. I have Dave Draper's True Squat. So it's a thing you hold here and you put your hands here because it saves your shoulders, okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the safety bar saves your shoulders, okay? And the hex bar, because you don't want to go all the way down because it puts a kink in your back. If every single piece of equipment you have to be is adaptive because of your injuries, maybe take a timeout.
Might be a little sign, might be a little signal, right?
If everything you need, every piece of equipment is
meant to preserve your frail existence.
There's a chance that somehow you've missed the point. Yeah, so you got to be a little, and I'll come into the gym sometime and I'll see someone doing all kinds of prehab, foam rolling, this, that, and I'll say, I'll have my workout done before they're done with their prehabbing, and it'd be like, what's the problem? Well, hey, I'm really sore from, and then they'll say some idiotic series of sentences, and my thought is, well, instead of doing all the prehab, why don't you just don't be so stupid in this part, thank you, Larry Boyle. I appreciate it, Larry. Life is coming back. The pendulum is swinging back for me. Speaking of this last week, if you mind,
of course, yeah.
Yes, Tiffany died. My daughters are in a good place, and thank you all for your kindness. It was unexpected the amount I got, and I appreciate it. This past week, a friend of mine's father also died. He's a good man. He's one of our guys who trains at our gym. And then the Mississippi State coach, Mike Leach, died. And I don't have that part of my house. I was a huge fan of Mike Leach, a true contrarian, a true brilliant mind who always thought that, he was an American collegiate football coach, very famous, but he always thought that he really was more like Ted Lasso, where the making people set for life was more important. It was a fascinating conversation, listen. So there you go. But thank you. Okay.
Yes. Thank you all. We really do have just a tremendous community here, and you guys are very much appreciated.
Yeah.
Adrian says, hello. I just have to highlight this again because apparently we've got all of Wales tuning into the show. Hello from Wales as well.
Both people from Wales are here.
Love my trap bar and quite like my safety squat bar too. But the trap bar is awesome. I used to be a strict purist with the straight bar, but I don't compete. So what's the point? Comments on this comment, Dan? Mm-hmm.
And it's Adrian. Adrian, nice to meet you. I have spent many hours in your beloved country. In fact, I took second place in a trivia contest in your capital. I don't want to make a big deal about it.
I'm sure they've erected a monument since then.
But I will say this. the questions were in Welsh, and my team still took second. So, hello. All right. Yeah.
Jay Johnson says, what do you gentlemen think about the use of clubs and maces? Do we have an opportunity for some hate here, Dan?
No, I hate them, so I don't. I think they're just a waste of time. I mean, again, and someone else, I'll do this. The other kettlebell organization, there's a lot of people who do the mason stuff, and it's always going, yeah, man, it just makes my shoulders feel so good. Well, how did your shoulders get bad in the first place? Well, I was doing this bent press. Boom, see? You see, you hurt yourself doing something that no one cares, and your solution is by doing something else, no one cares. And it's great. If you like them, God, do them. But just don't tell me how good they are, okay? Yeah. I don't want to hear it. I mean, they were popular 100 years ago. Yep. They disappeared. They came back. They'll disappear again. They'll come back. It's not, I don't hate them, but why should I go to a cert to learn another thing? But I'm a discus thrower. I'm an Olympic lifter. You know, I get it. There's
and that you're not going to use. That's my feeling on it. And, you know, Anthony mentions that I own one. I do. I own a bunch of stuff because people send me stuff all the time. But you know, there's a reason I don't really post workouts with them because I just don't use them. I mean, I'll take it out maybe twice a year because I see it, and I'm like, all right, we'll bring it out back, and I'm like, okay, and then it goes and it kind of collects cobwebs again. So I can't say I hate it. But I also have to be honest that it is far from any sort of regular fixture in my training or any of my clients. But hey, if you guys out there love it and you get benefit from it, don't let us rain on your jolly parade.
Why did you even listen to me? Jeez, Reactione came back up and reposted his workout. Can you find that?
Yes. Let me see where that is.
20th? Holy cow.
Okay, here we go. Here is the workout. Dumbbell press, standing, kneeling, is sometimes seated, 2x5, sometimes 3x3.
Dumbbell press, and he says 2x5.
Yep. Sometimes 3x3. Pull-ups, singles by 6, and 30-second hang. So there's a pull-up hang combo, Dan, that you've talked about. And Romanian dumbbell deadlifts for 2 sets of 5. Single leg deadlift for 3 sets of 3. Dan is just taking some notes here.
Hey, thank you, Reactione. That see, to me, that's a real reasonable, simple way to do things. So, yeah, that's good.
And I want to emphasize, we really do love and appreciate when you guys take what we discuss on the podcast, use it, and report back with your feedback and results. Somebody just posted, I think it was Anthony in the Facebook group, an after shot of following just the simple pressing advice we gave on the podcast, and seems to have gone really well. That's really cool. It's Dan and I are just shooting a lot of things out into the ether. So it's really, really cool to hear back from you guys who said, hey, I did this for 6 weeks and made me a beast. We love to see that, or caused me to lose 8 pounds or whatever. So thank you guys for taking the time to actually do the stuff. We want you to do the stuff. We try to make these episodes as practical as possible.
And the nice thing is, when I get feedback like that, Patrick, so here's somebody in the trenches. Here's the equipment they did. They did it, and the results are good. And that's the feedback I need. I don't need some. Okay, I gotta be careful here. Yes, absolutely. You should do everything exactly as I tell you to do it. Having said that, in this mythical land that sentence just happened, everybody has to adapt. I have 32 kettlebells. I have 3 Olympic bars in my garage. I have tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. I've got tens of thousands of dollars worth of books and resources. I fly 250,000 miles a year. I know I fly to places. I go to workshops. Great. That's me. Aren't I wonderful? Yesterday, the gym's 8 degrees. Okay. I got to do an 8-degree workout, not an 80-degree workout, if that makes sense. For my European friends, it was -2, and a -2 workout is different than a 20-degree workout, 22-degree workout. Okay. So
here's the just going back to the hex bar. or trap bar. Zandark says, what about using a trap bar if the height of the barbell is too low for my body type? So
yeah, in fact, that's why if you go to almost any Division I basketball program in America, they have the tall hex bars for their basketball players, so that they could be in a hinge position versus a fold position, get all the way down to that barbell. Okay.
yep. You can also use pins too. I've got I've got quite good mobility. So but even I use pins, but especially once I start really pushing the weight with stuff, just bring it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And if you're training in the Globo gym type of place like I am, most of them will have the that available for you. Yeah. All right, let's take a few more here. Dan John's armor building. Dan Rake wants to know how do you bulletproof your shoulders, Dan? Everyone's thinking about trying to bulletproof things.
Well, what's the person, Rake? Oh, he's the person who says weird things sometimes.
Yes, indeed. Yes, sometimes, indeed. Mm-hmm.
So should I answer his question? Well, I mean, all I'll do is just quote the Kauai study. Let's just do it this way. First, don't be stupid. Don't find ways to hurt it. If in the gym, find exercises that are appropriate for your goals, and don't just I'm going to try that just because I saw it. From my experience, almost everybody who does military, any kind of vertical overhead press, one hand, two hand, anybody who does, and then the next thing, of course, from the Kauai study is if you simply hang. So for me, from what I've seen, the vertical press family and the hang seem to be the answer for most people. If you find yourself in a situation where you've got a tiny little, this is a chest strap from a heart rate monitor. I don't know why I keep buying heart rate monitors. I never use them. But if you find yourself doing an exercise like this for 25 minutes before a workout, maybe you've gone way too far. I mean, there was a thing years ago called the rotator cuff solution, but really the best thing you could do probably for shoulders is in your youth, push-ups and bench press have a shelf life. Vertical presses don't seem to. So, just don't try not to hurt yourself. If you go to a cert and someone is doing a exercise like a leaping bent press, don't do it. There's no don't
let's finish with this one because it's related to hanging. JF says, Dan, for the perfect workout when doing the hang, is it okay to have the legs bent, or does the benefit come from the full vertical position?
When I do the indoor, I do the child's pose. So I get on my knees and it's more, it's Tim Anderson's. So I have my hands in this position and I stick my forehead in the ground and that's how I hang inside. Yep. When I'm in the gym, I always have my knees on my chest because the hanging bent knee hold, not only does it give your back that wonderful traction, but with your ab, okay, so here's your back, but with your ab wall contracting, it pulls the pelvic bowl underneath. So it also, then now you got traction here. Mm-hmm. So you're giving your back the remedial work that most people need. An isometric ab hold plus that traction from the load of your body plus the shoulder hang. To me, it's a win-win-win proposition. So yes, try and it's an interesting thing to do. Try to bring your knees up as high as you can without momentum, and then just watch them slowly go away from your body, and then you'll catch it and you'll pull it back. You'll tug it back up. I'd like to see. I like to kind of go, and I stop a little higher because once the knees start to, there's an area on the bent knee. I don't, what the hell am I saying? It's hanging bent knee raise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Isometric, but there's a point where all of a sudden your back goes from here to the big hollow. Mm-hmm. And it goes, and I would rather your knees go down on control so it doesn't go like that. It just kind of goes
smooth as butter. Excellent. Awesome. insights and advice as always. Dan, as we say goodbye to our gentle listeners today, give us some of the updates. Any further progress on the book or anything else you want to announce?
Christmas Day, the pre-sale. Not Christmas Day, the pre-sales. You get the book on Christmas morning if you bought it pre-sale.
What a gift!
And it's on, I think it's the site to buy the book is easystrengthomnibook.com. All the really good Black Friday things are gone, but you still get the book Christmas Day.
Worth it.
And I looked at it the other day. In fact, I still have down there. It's still on my computer. You want me to share a screen and show it?
If you'd like to, sure. Get a little sneak peek. Why not? Let's see how we get maybe just turning that camera somewhere.
Turn the camera around.
Just take a little peeky peek.
First Guskin.
If you're just listening, you'll have to go to YouTube for the visual demonstration.
All right. So let me see. I've got to go share screen. How do I do it here?
Yeah, that's a great question. Present, maybe? Is there a present button for you?
Share screen?
I don't.
Wait, hang on. I got to do the, what's that, Senator Rubio? No. Is it Ted? It was Ted Cruz or was it Rubio who had porn on the screen at the meeting?
I sure hope not.
Yeah, let's hope there's no porn. I'm looking. I don't see any. Okay. Share screen. Okay. Ready? What can you see?
Nothing yet. Nothing yet.
What is this damn thing? Why is it not just letting me do it?
Yeah, sorry, Dan. We obviously didn't test run this technology, gentle listeners. So.
Entire screen. I got it.
Okay, let's see if that works.
Stop. Okay.
There it is.
All right. So, can you still see okay?
I can see our window. You pull up your document, and then I can bring that up.
Can you see it right now?
Yeah. So if you pull up the document on
it's right there. I'm up.
Yours. Oh, I don't see the document. I just see our faces. I think you're just sharing our faces right now.
No, I want to share my screen. Okay, folks, help me out here, people on the sidelines. Come on.
Yeah, it's just sharing our stream, not the document.
Oh. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, you know what? They're going to get it Christmas Day, so they'll see it when they see it.
easystrengthomnibook.com. Darn it, the cover is gorgeous. The cover is beautiful. And then what I really like is that this is the advantage of a PDF or an ebook over a book. I'm rereading the Age Well Project. A book on a PDF, you can go to the table of contents and go, that's what I want to read. And you press it and it takes you right there. I think that's where with the book, here's what I have to do. I have to go find, look how long it takes.
Ooh, the pain.
I'm still looking. Good stuff. Life is good.
Thank you, gentle listeners, as always. Thank you, Dan. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Ring that bell. Don't forget that. Ring that little YouTube bell. You got to ring the bell. Soon YouTube will make you ring 2 bells. For now, it's just 1 bell. So ring the 1 bell. Everyone will be better. Thank you, Dan, and we'll see all of you next week. Merry Christmas, everyone. We don't see you.
And a very Merry Christmas to everybody, or whatever you're celebrating. And as we come to the end of another amazing turn around around our friendly star, the sun. Congrats to everybody for making it again, and let's make 2023 a kinder, nicer year, and let's make all of our fitness goals come true.
2 perfects. See you next week, guys.